One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is getting to talk to other people and hearing their amazing stories, their journeys, their twists and turns from who they thought they were going to be, way back when, maybe in primary school or undergraduate, to where they are now, many years later. And today is definitely a beautiful highlight of that. So I'm so excited. I get to bring you this awesome conversation with my very good friends, Taylor Christensen and Tim Remkes. So Taylor and I have known each other forever, probably since middle school. We were friends through high school. We were friends through very hard parts of my life, which I am eternally grateful for. We went to the same undergraduate university, Weaver State University. And as you'll hear more in the interview, Taylor met her now husband, Tim, in her degree program in botany. So Tim and Taylor were in the same degree program. And I think their story is such a gorgeous example of how, you get a degree and then you can do anything you want. And really, like you can do things that make you happy, right? Maybe Tim and Taylor weren't always happy with their jobs every moment of the day, but as you'll hear, they've moved towards finding career paths that are them, right? They're not just doing something because some guidance counselor told them, this is the 8 careers you can go into with a botany degree or whatever. They have very unique, very interesting careers. I'm super excited for you to hear from them. I do want to brag that Tim has an awesome environmental company called Remkes Environmental. I'll link it in the show notes. You'll hear a little more about it in the podcast. But it's all around building dream landscapes with an emphasis on native plants, water conservation, food production, and pollinator-friendly elements. That's the awesome tagline he has on his website. Taylor does a gazillion amazing things. She's an awesome artist. And one of her side but very beautiful projects is making amazing bouquets. And she has an Instagram for that. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to just go look at some incredibly gorgeous bouquets. And then finally, just before we start, I do want to quickly note, quick trigger warning. We very briefly touch on suicide, student suicide, just so you're aware, so that doesn't startle you out of nowhere. So without any further ado, let's dig in. Tim and Taylor, such a great interview. We got cool jobs. We do cool things. Our work should be magical. Welcome to STEMdentity. I'm your host, Anna Hodshire. We work really hard and our jobs shouldn't suck. Let's dive in. Hey guys. All right. I'm so excited. My very, very good friends, Tim and Taylor, are here. I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute, but I've known Taylor since, I don't know. Taylor, when did we meet? Middle school, elementary? I have no idea.
Middle school, I think.
I think so. I think we might have gone to the same elementary, but didn't talk to each other. Who knows? Anyways, forever. So Taylor and I have known each other since school, and then we both went to the same university, Weaver State University in Ogden, Utah, where Taylor met her now husband, Tim, in the same degree program. So that's where I want to start. I love the fact that you guys both have the same degree and the same degree program, and you went off and did totally different things with your degree paths. So can you guys, doesn't care, I don't care who starts, but one of you maybe start on why did you choose to go into botany, back then, and what did you think you were going to do with it?
I think Tim should go first because his story is a little more direct.
Okay.
Sure. I've always loved being outdoors, especially like the mountains and forests have always just spoken to me. I wanted to, I mean, when I was in high school, you never know what you're going to do. But I ended up getting a brain tumor, which put me back a few years. And during that time, I spent a lot of time in the hospital, just with nothing to do and a lot of time to think. And I came to the realization that having a job just for the money wasn't worth it to me. And I wanted to do something that was impactful to me. And I really loved being outside. So I tried to get a job to go hiking. Like I just wanted to be paid to be in the mountains. And I just started, Weaver State was my hometown college. So I just started enrolled there and didn't even realize how special that school was until we started the program there. I just started studying plants because I figured that was a good way for me to get into the field that I wanted to be in. But then I just fell in love with the science, and I'm so obsessed with plants that it's ridiculous.
I love that so much. I didn't actually realize your backstory, Tim. So thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was a winding path, but it got me here, which is I can't complain about it at all.
I feel
Awesome.
like your path was a little less winding than some people's though, because you like initially in high school you were thinking about doing like a trade or
Yeah, like
something.
welding or construction. I grew up
Yeah.
building houses for my dad. And so yeah, like I just envisioned myself in that direction, but I wanted to go to school to maybe advance my career. And thank God I had to take time off between high school and college because I would have just started like welding. I would have gone to the ATC or something right out of high school had I not had to take a break. But since I was able to have that time to think, I just enrolled and went for it right away.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would never say like thank God you had a brain tumor because that would be a terrible thing to say. And I don't, but at the same time, I think if you had not had that experience, you wouldn't have had that epiphany of like, I deserve to have a job that brings me joy rather than just
Right.
brings me money. And I think ultimately you've had a happier, especially full disclosure, brain tumor is gone.
Yay.
So it's easier to joke about it now because it's all
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy,
Yeah.
no more issues. So, but I feel like if you hadn't had that experience, you wouldn't be
Right.
here.
Right. Right.
Yeah, Taylor, what about you?
Um, my story, I don't, oh man, I don't know. I grew up loving plants and loving the outdoors. Some of my earliest memories are like being outside in the front yard with my grandma, like digging away the like fallen leaves from springtime and bringing and like finding the crocus that were coming up early in the spring. And just being like enamored with that. And so that was very formative for me, but I didn't realize that you could study plants, and I had no idea that there were jobs in that field until I accidentally took a botany class in college. Um, I was in high school, I was like mildly interested in science. Like I thought it was really interesting, but I didn't think I was smart enough to pursue it. So I was like, I'm gonna be an artist because I'm good at art and I don't think I'm smart enough to do anything else. So that's kind of like the path that I set myself on. But then I got to college and serendipitously also ended up at Weber State. And again, I also just went there because it was like the easy hometown school that I could afford. And then found out that I was like part of this incredible botany program that like didn't exist anywhere in the West, except in Ogden, Utah. I was so lucky. And yeah, I took a class with Dr. Jean Bosniak called Environment Appreciation. And he just ranted about how much he loved algae and how it was so instrumental in forming the world. And I was captivated. And that was it. I joined the botany program and I was like, screw it. I may not be smart enough, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And actually it worked out. It turns out that you don't necessarily need to be naturally gifted
You're so
as much
upset.
as but no, but I found out that like I could work my way, like if I worked hard enough, it would be fine.
You are one of the smartest people I know.
You're very
You don't,
sweet.
no, no, no. You can't say that about yourself. You're not dumb.
Thank you. I don't think I'm dumb, but I also like failed AP calculus like so spectacularly that just that experience in high school of like, wow, I cannot do calc to save my life, like just ingrained in me that I'm like, clearly I can't do math or science. I better just like quit all of those right now. And
Okay,
it,
yeah, I was gonna ask where you felt like that kind of came from because I agree with Tim. You're very smart and capable, and
I
if it
appreciate
makes
that.
you feel better, I think I got like a 2 on the AP Calc test. Like I
Oh,
did
it
not do
does.
well. It was not good.
Yeah, I drew palm trees and beaches on my AP Calc test and wrote notes that said, I wish I were here.
So you already knew that you loved plants and the
I
outdoors,
did.
just like Tim.
Yeah, Yes.
That's amazing. So you accidentally took the botany class. So like what did you start doing when you went to Weber State?
Art.
Art. Okay.
I was going to be an art major. I was still headed down that path. I was still convinced that I was going to be a photographer or an illustrator or something. And I still continued. I kept my minor in art in photography and have done absolutely nothing with it whatsoever.
You take beautiful photos and you have amazing sketches. So I feel like you do things with it.
I appreciate it. It's purely a hobby at this point, which honestly brings me more joy than if it were my job. So it worked out for the better, I think.
Exactly. That's how I feel about music. Every time I'm like, I could maybe make money off of this. No, no, thank you.
It's way more fun to do it
Yeah.
when I want to do it.
Both of you mentioned that Weber State had this unique botany program. What was so unique about it?
It's it was it's a program that's primarily driven, at least when we were there, by taxonomy, by identification of organisms, specifically plants, because it's botany, right? And it also had some really old, really fantastically opinionated professors. But because of that, they didn't really care about filtering, and they really taught us how to think, and
Hmm.
not just what to think, but really like how to form opinions, how to figure out things for ourselves, how to, and especially in the taxonomy, there's not many schools that have that in-depth approach to botany that Weber State does. And because of that, a lot of our classmates, before and after us, are still in the field. They inspired a lot of passion in us as students, and they gave us the perfect tools in order to join the workforce and to
Yeah.
make money doing what we
Yeah.
studied.
They did a very good job at equipping us to be professionals.
Hmm. That's unusual. That's actually
It
really
is.
amazing.
It
Um,
really
I
is.
I feel like so I went to the physics program and it was very strong and the professors were very good. And also I did not feel equipped at all to join the workforce other than kind of go to the two big local options, which was an Air Force base or Northrop Grumman. And there's nothing wrong with either of those options, but they weren't for me per se. So I felt like I had literally no choice but to go to grad school because I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Mhm.
I also think it's really rare and unique and cool that they taught you how to think. Because, again, the experience I had was more, the program was such a grind. The homework sets were really difficult. Everything just took so much time that it really made me feel like I was more just learning how to work hard rather than like actually intellectualize. I'm sure other people had different experiences, and some people would be like, no, Anna, I learned how to think all sorts of things. But that was my experience where I was just like, I'm drowning in work. And because of where I was mentally at that time and what I thought about myself, I was like, the only way I can prove myself is through really, really hard work. So therefore, I guess I'm doing it because this is really, really hard work. I don't regret it. It's, not like having a brain tumor or anything, but I'm still like, I'm glad that happened to me because a lot of good things came out of it later. But at the
Mhm.
time, it was actually incredibly miserable and I don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you both got your degrees more or less the same time in botany, and then you're about to graduate. What were you thinking I'm going to go out and do with these degrees?
So we both had field jobs, summer field jobs for the like the 2 years leading up to graduation, which was really helpful because that gave us a leg up in the workforce. And we both did that afterwards too. We both worked seasonal field jobs for a couple years, and that was hard. I lasted longer at it than Taylor did.
Yeah. When we say seasonal field jobs, we mean like working for either the Forest Service or the Division of Wildlife or Natural Resources, and we were the botanists on our crew. So we were already like quote unquote professionally, you know, trained and employed botanists before we even graduated with, and we were participating in research,
Right.
in collecting data for big research studies. And so that was really fun and really rewarding,
Yeah.
but challenging in some ways that ultimately caused us to not stick with it permanently because living in Utah, field work is extremely seasonal. It starts in like May and is done by September. And that's it. That's
Yeah.
the whole. So then you have to find something else to do in the off season. And we were traveling all the time and our schedules never lined up. I was working in Montana. Tim was here. I worked 8-day hitches and he worked 4. Like it was, we just never saw each other. And so ultimately we decided like if we were gonna stay in botany long term, it couldn't be field work. As much fun as it just wasn't sustainable, especially where we had been dating for a while and we were trying to move forward with our personal relationship and being apart like all summer and never knowing where we were going to be. That didn't feel right to
Yeah.
us long term.
One thing had to give, either the job or the relationship.
And we decided that there were plenty of other opportunities in the world, and so we pursued other kinds of jobs.
And did you see those other kinds of jobs being modeled when you were in school, or did you have to kind of figure it out after school?
Kind of had to figure it out. We, yeah, in our undergrad, we didn't really have professional opportunities. I mean, they told us about jobs, but there was a lot of push to get seasonal jobs because they were abundant. There's a lot of them.
And they can lead to other really awesome opportunities if you
Right.
can stick it out long enough,
Right,
which many people do. We did not.
right,
Mm.
right. Or we could have gone back to school, like you were
Right.
saying. Those were the options: work seasonal jobs or go back to school and get a PhD.
Yeah.
And
Or at least that's what we thought.
yeah, exactly. I got a job with a nonprofit that turned into a full year-round job, which was really helpful, but I still wasn't making enough money for us to really support ourselves. And so, yeah, ultimately, just for a little bit, because I left in the fall. I left after the summer season, and the winter is the worst time to get another job that's related to plants whatsoever in Utah.
As it turns out. Yep.
So I worked for a contractor building houses again because I had that skill from my childhood. And I did that for a year until finally I was able to get a job with a landscape company where they hired me as the botanist. I was the plant specialist, the arborist, the invasive species specialist. Like I kind of went down that route in the private industry instead of for government nonprofit or college,
Yeah.
that world. So away from science and towards money, basically the direction that I went. Um, and I worked for this landscape company for 6 years and had a good time and really learned a lot. But that drive in me to do more than just mow someone's lawn or fertilize or spray weeds, like that was slowly just crushing my soul, and I couldn't continue down that road. So I left the company I was working for and started my own, where I'm still a landscaper, but I'm focusing on native plants and ecology so I can teach people in their homes how to plant native plants in their yards and how to incorporate those into their designs. And it can still be beautiful. It doesn't have to look like uh, the Wild West sagebrush scape
Rolling
if you don't want that. I mean,
tumbleweeds.
obviously there are people who want that, and that's amazing because I'm 100% in support of that. But in addition to that, I'm also able to work back in that nonprofit world where I'm working on Forest Service land and public land, treating invasive species and helping them
Doing some restoration.
restoration work. Yeah, getting native plant habitats and communities back functional again.
Yeah. And full disclosure, like I've worked with him. You have helped us with our lawn. We didn't do the best job because we're not the best with plants. We might have murdered the entire backyard, but it was dead before. So we're gonna try again next year. So Tim, watch out for our call for being like, okay, now what are we doing now? Because yeah, it's all right. Experiments in lawn care from afar, but like I absolutely love the idea of the native plants. And like, so how did you come up with that?
It's something that I was trying to always push at the previous landscape company because I've always worked with native plants. that was my job at the nonprofit. I managed invasive species populations, so plants that were growing in the forest and in the mountains that are not native to our areas, and
Causing harm.
they interrupt the natural ecosystem in some way, shape, or form. And then I was also doing a lot of restoration work. We were planting native plants, reseeding areas, rehabilitating scars in the mountain from mines and from the ski resorts, doing construction and this, that, and the other. And so having that experience, I came back to the valley and realized that we need to start doing this down here. We've got this giant, I mean, the Salt Lake Valley is huge and it's completely now habitated. There are no more wild spaces except for small stream corridors that kind of network through the valley, but it's not enough to support habitat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're losing insects, we're losing animals, we're losing plants, species even here in the Wasatch Front that can be stopped by just starting to incorporate more than Kentucky bluegrass in people's front yards.
Yes, my lawn is dead because I refuse to water my grass, so I can support this. Like, I'll water native plants, but I will not water grass. So
Yeah.
Right,
I am
right.
the neighbor who gets the neighbors call the city on me, but it's fine. We'll get there.
It is fine. There's a whole program right now that's like it's called Kill Your Lawn
Hmm.
movement.
Yeah.
So you've just joined the Kill Your Lawn movement.
I have, and some unfortunately weeds are very hardy as it turns out.
That's true. That's true.
Because I'm like, whatever, you didn't need water to grow, so I'm just gonna leave you alone. And then the neighbors complain, so and yeah, here we are. And you guys have an absolutely gorgeous front yard and backyard, but your front yard is just all these flowers and it's amazing. How many species of plants do you think you have in the front yard?
Oh, enough that we're going to have a really hard time coming up with a number right now. We've worked,
Close to 30.
Okay.
I think it's more than that. Because if you count, anyway, we have like our little native wildflower garden, and then we have like a cut flower garden, and then we have a vegetable garden, and then we're always trying to incorporate more native species into the yard as well. So I feel like every season almost we find new little things to tuck away somewhere. So I think there's at least,
Yeah,
because we added 4 more
species.
this fall.
Yeah, or this summer I planted probably 12 different species.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
a cup flower?
what?
Say that again?
What's a cup flower?
Oh, sorry, a cut flower, like,
Cut.
yeah, like that you
Right,
put in
gotcha.
bouquets.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Peter started selling bouquets from our front yard, and that's been a fun journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wanted you to talk about that. Tell us about your new, I don't know. Side hustle is too mean for what it is. It's adorable. I love it.
Thank you. My lucrative hobby.
Yes, there we go.
Ah, I mean, mildly lucrative, but still. So I have a friend here in Salt Lake. Her company is called Ritual and Bloom. I'm just gonna give her a little shout out because she makes the most incredible bouquets and she sources as much material as she can locally. So most of her bouquets are just local flowers, especially in the spring, summer, and fall. Obviously in the winter it's Utah, so you do what you can. But she's incredible. And I had been inviting her over to my yard just to pick flowers because we have so many. And she suggested that I start selling some, that I start like growing intentionally and selling them to florists. And I dabbled in that for a bit, and then I actually found that I really enjoy making bouquets myself. I'm not as talented as Ritual and Bloom by any means, but it's a really fun hobby. And so I started making some bouquets, and I reached out to some coffee shops, and there was one in particular that was really interested. And so in the summer during the growing season, every Saturday morning I bring some locally grown organic, whatever. I don't spray for bugs ever. So I bring my flowers to the coffee shop and they sell them for me. So that's been really fun.
And what's your company name?
we're called Perdita Farm. I'm insecure about calling myself a farm because it's literally just my yard, my front yard. We just keep ripping up more grass and putting in more flowers and native plants. But I haven't found anyone who's told me that a farm has to be a certain size. And so I actually picked the name specifically because Perdita is they're a genus of bee. They're one of my favorite bees. They're called fairy bees, and they're the tiniest bee species in the world. I don't even know how many millimeters they are. Like one, two
Oh,
millimeters. They're
so cute.
itty bitty. They're so tiny. So I picked Perdita because we have a tiny farm.
Oh, I love it. See, you're already owning it in the name. It's a small farm. Get over it, guys. It's perfect. I mean, I'm in an engineering department and I have zero engineering training. I took one engineering class. My first semester, actually, this is how I got into physics. My first semester, Weber State, going back to all of our time back there. I thought I wanted to be an engineer. And so I took intro to engineering and intro to physics, and I absolutely hated everything about the intro to engineering class. I hated the people in it. I hated the projects. I was like, what?
No.
Like, you need to build things. I don't know. It was like bridge engineering. I'm sure there's a better word, civil engineering. Sure. And anyways, I was like, why am I here? I break things by accident. I do not build them with my hands. This is awful. And the physics class was really fun, and the teacher was a hoot. And I was like, okay, we're pivoting. We're not becoming an engineer. And now here I am, like 15 years later, and no one has kicked me out yet. I'm sure they'll figure it out someday, but until then,
Amazing how life can just come in a full circle
I
sometimes.
know. Yep, the world is like, well, we're not going to make you build anything, but you're still going to be an engineer. And I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Cool. You
Yeah.
just can do it a different way.
Exactly. So Taylor, you're a teacher right now, but I know so you're getting to blend what you care about, which is botany, and you're teaching some biology. So two questions you can answer in any order. One being, did you get to just show up and say, I know things about botany, let me teach botany? Or did you have to, build up to that level? And then the other question is, I know you've also gone back to school a little bit, so I'd like to dig into that journey a little as well.
Yes.
Not a little bit. I apologize. You got a freaking master's degree. That's not a little bit of school. That's a lot of
Oh,
school.
it was, thank you. I appreciate that. It wasn't a very long amount of school though. Well, I'll talk about that in a second. But to your first question, yeah, I basically showed up, and after I got hired, I got my teaching license. I found this really cool school, and I feel really lucky to be working at this really amazing like STEM charter school in Salt Lake. So not all charter schools uh, are awesome, but I happen to work at a really good one. And I was talking with my principal, and basically he was like, yeah, if you have any other interests or any other things that you might want to do, like you could totally teach one of those as an elective. And I was like botany? Could I teach botany? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So yes, I basically just like showed up and requested to teach botany, and he said, hell yeah, and here we are. It was awesome. And I've loved it. Botany's
And
my
ninth
favorite.
grade? You're teaching ninth grade, is that right?
Yep. So primarily I teach ninth grade biology. I teach every kid that comes through our school. I'm the only biology teacher, so everybody, for better or worse, has to have me for bio. And then they can choose if they want after they've taken biology is a prerequisite because I teach botany kind of as a little, it's kind of a challenging course actually. But it's only available to 10th grade and up because they have to have bio first. Um, and it's been pretty successful. I have a hard time talking about my successes in life and what I'm good at, but I will say that this class has been really awesome. I normally my school caps classes at about 22, 24 students, but I have so many kids sign up for this class that I requested to increase the cap to 30. And so I teach it twice per year, every semester. And every year it fills up completely, and I have kids on the wait list.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's been a great class, and this group of students are really fun and really sweet. And they're like, Miss Christensen, why don't you teach this as a full year class? Like, why can't we do this all year long? And I told them it's because I want more people to be able to take it. And they were like, well, why don't you just teach it in the lecture hall? And then you can have like 60 students at once. And I was like, oh, okay.
Tune in.
Problem
They don't have
solved.
to do the grading.
Although to their credit, I did point that out. I pointed out the grading problem. And like three of them were like, well, I would TA for you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe I don't have an
See,
excuse.
they're trying to make solutions for you. I don't know. I might have to try it some year.
Mhm. Yeah,
But you went back to get a master's at some point.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. I decided that I wanted to be, I don't know, why did I go back? Why did I go back for a master's?
You paid more.
Oh yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. I wanted, no, teachers notoriously don't make a ton of money. And we work really, really hard. Like my coworkers, having teacher coworkers is one of the best experiences in life because you very, very, very rarely will you find an incompetent teacher. Um, they exist, but they're not very common. Anyway, teachers work really, really hard, notoriously underpaid, and one of the ways that you can make more money as a teacher is to get a master's degree. And so that sounded fun to me. I like school, I like learning, and there's a program that you can get master's degrees online. And so I looked into that and found a program that I liked and signed up, and it worked really well for me because it was asynchronous, so I could just do my classes whenever I wanted, whenever I had time. And they also let me move at whatever pace that I wanted. And so I blew through this program in 9 months, which was really crazy and very I don't really know how I did that. I would get up very early and I would do a lot of homework, and then I would come home and I would do more homework, and then I would go to bed, and then I did that for 9 months.
It's literally
Um,
insane. For some reason, I thought it took you 2 years or something.
Nope,
So
it took 9 months.
that's amazing.
Oh, I remember why. Okay, you can include this in your podcast or not if you want. It's a little, well, it's kind of sad, to be honest.
Oh.
No, it's pretty sad. So I had a student, one of my students committed suicide one year, and I did not handle it very well. And one of my coping mechanisms was I threw myself into school.
Mm,
So instead of like dealing with how that, dealing with my own emotions, I was like, I'll just I'll just do homework
yeah.
all the time
Yep.
and not have to confront this really horrible thing that happened. And so that's how I finished a master's degree in 9 months. I do not recommend doing that. I don't think it's healthy. And I don't think it's even admirable that I was able to do that because it was not coming from a place of, you know,
Yeah, but I mean, so I can completely empathize, right? There's a reason why I have 3 degrees in 10 years and did
yeah.
incredibly hard things because I had my own family suicide that I was like, I would prefer not to think about this. And school was a really great outlet for not thinking about things. But that's something that I really want to bring through with this podcast is that yeah, it's fine to throw yourself into work, kind of ish, but you're at some point you're going to hit a wall and you're going to burn out and you're going to hate your job and you're going to realize that you're not happy. And so either at that point or sometime before that point, hopefully, preferably, like let's start exploring what are the other options. Is it therapy? Is it just talking to someone? Is it starting to do breath work? Is it starting to understand that feelings are meant for feeling? This is something I literally, guys, okay, now I'm the youngest and I did not have nieces and nephews or I didn't really have a big family and I wasn't really around children. And it was not until either I think this year or last year, that I heard someone say on a podcast somewhere that feelings are meant for feeling. And I was like, what the hell do you mean feelings are meant for feeling? That's ridiculous. They're clearly there to let me know I'm doing something bad and wrong and I need to stop it. So I totally get that. Were you able to start finding help kind of after that to figure out like, okay, why am I just driving myself crazy with like I blasted through a master's in 9 months, which no one should humanly be able to do, but you were able to pull off
While working a full-time job.
while working a full-time job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so ultimately what ended up happening is I finished my master's and I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. That was so great. And then I immediately started having panic attacks because I had like no other, I had
Oh,
nothing to throw myself at, you know? I had all this free time all of a sudden, and so I just filled it with anxiety.
as one does, yes.
One does. And so that's when I realized, honestly, that was the first time that I realized that something was wrong
Yeah.
because up until that point, I was just so busy and so all consumed with homework all the time that I thought it was fine.
Yep.
Um, and so once those panic attacks started happening and I like couldn't get them under control, I was like, oh, shoot, there's a problem here. So then I went to therapy, figured out very quick. I had a great therapist and she figured out very quickly what was going on. She was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
this is what we need to address. Um, and we did, and I learned some great coping skills. I finally felt my feelings. Um, and it was awful in the way that therapy is awful. If you've been to therapy, you probably know what I mean. It's the worst and it's the best simultaneously.
Oh yeah,
Um,
every week I'm like, I mean, I could not go to therapy. I could just be sick, yeah, right? Like, and then I'm like, no, no, no. It is
I
a
just go home.
privilege to get to go,
Yeah,
stop your complaining, and show up. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you hate it and then you feel better. And
exactly.
so yeah, I went to therapy for a while and I kind of got my feet back under me. Um, and that's been 3 years ago now
Yeah.
at this point. So, um, yeah, I've kind of been ever since I kind of got my feet back under me and um had some really good guidance. I feel like I've been in a much better place, and I think it's helped me be a better teacher and also have better boundaries too. Like I've been able to show up at work better and also been able to enjoy my life outside of work more than I did. So that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And now I know you're contemplating, maybe you're on one side of the fence or other side of the fence. I don't know. We haven't talked for a bit. But you're contemplating going back to school again. Oh, dog's off. They have
Sorry.
three dogs and they're a lot, but oh my gosh, there's Pip. She's so cute. She's so
She's
tiny.
trying to play with Callie and they're being a little loud, so I just scooped her up
That's
for a
fair.
second.
And by tiny, I mean she's like what, 25, 30 pounds. She's not that small, but
25 pounds.
I have big dogs, so she's tiny to me.
She's pretty tiny. She's the tiny one in our house too.
Yeah.
So it's accurate. But yes, I've considered going back to school again at this point. I really love teaching, but I also see I see like the end of the road approaching for me essentially. And I've had many conversations, some with you. Thank you, by the way, for helping me through this. But I've been trying to decide like do I leave teaching while I'm still happy or do I wait until I am tired and miserable? And that's ultimately become the question of I know that I can't do this forever.
Hmm.
Um, it's very taxing. There's a lot about it that I don't love. The students are wonderful and the teaching part is wonderful, but pretty much everything else I hate. Which is normal. You know, there's always going to be an aspect to a job that you don't love, but I know that I like to do different things and I know that I would like to try something else at some point in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the question is now just become when? When do I leave this really great school and these really great kids that I love, knowing that there is something else for me to do before I'm too old to do it.
Too old. There are definitely people. There's someone in my research group who got his PhD. I don't know exactly how old he is, but probably 50s to 60s, so never too old. Yeah.
Okay. Not too old, but older. Like I would like to do it sooner rather than later. I don't know. So that's the question that I'm grappling with right now. I had a really awesome conversation with a professor at the University of Utah, and he brought up some really great questions that I hadn't considered yet. And so at this point, my plan, I think, is to put it off for one more year. Um, and then I think I'm going to apply and I think I'm going to start a PhD because it sounds it sounds like an adventure.
Yeah.
And I want so badly to contribute in some small, in whatever small way I can to the body of human knowledge. That just sounds like such a beautiful, incredible thing to be able to do. And I don't even care what it is. I just want to be a part of it.
That's amazing. You're like I think this is what people think people go to school for from the outside. Like they're like, it's because you're really driven by science and you want to contribute to the body of knowledge. So I absolutely love that you want to do that because the reality is that a lot of us are like, I'm not super confident and I don't feel like I have any skills, but I'm pretty good at school. So I guess I'm just gonna stay in school. That was my story. I was actually thinking about this because I have a coworker who does not have a degree, PhD or a master's, and this person is very intelligent, and they are also pretty derisive of higher education. And sometimes it can grate on me a little bit, and maybe I'm just being triggered because I have higher education. I'm like, what do you mean it was a waste of time? But I think this person doesn't necessarily, they're not very good at kind of putting on that empathy lens of sometimes you just don't know what you want to do. And going to school is actually a pretty safe next option where you can still explore and kind of get some hints on what you may or may not like. So I love that you want to go to school. I hope it gives you more hints on what you want to do next after this, because yeah, I totally hear you that teaching is maybe not a full-time, long-time thing. Yeah, and I would prefer that you leave before you hate it and you pass that hatred on to your students. So you are making the right decisions there.
But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the choice. It seems silly to leave something that you still love and still find joy in, but but like you said, when it like there are kids involved here.
Yeah.
Like why would I wait until I'm exhausted and bitter?
If you know
And
there's an expiration date, like if you were kind of like, I feel like I could do this forever, then just keep doing it. But if you know there's an expiration date, why would you drink the spoiled milk? Get out with the stuff.
exactly.
Good.
Yeah, I absolutely know that I could not do this for another 10 years or honestly, probably even another 5.
Yeah.
So giving myself maybe 2 more years to do this, knowing that I can enjoy those years and they can be fun and I can also kind of look forward to the end of it too, seems like a good move.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing that you're kind of doing the planning ahead rather than just sort of waiting for the disaster to happen and then have to figure it out at that point. So that's super cool. This has been an amazing conversation. I have 2 questions I want to ask you both to wrap it up with. So the first one, either of you can answer first. What's your favorite shift or update that you felt you've had over since you started, we'll say undergrad until now in identity? So your favorite shift in identity.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty deep question.
Yeah, I have an answer. I'll go first. You think about it. Um, I think my favorite shift in identity is um, I care so much more about joy than I used to. Um, and I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly when that shift happened, but I just know like when I was in my undergrad, I think I had a similar perspective to you a little bit, Anna, that like I needed to work really hard and that it should hurt. And there was a certain amount of that that was just to be expected and normal, and that there was a certain amount of suffering that I just had to put in. And that was like part of life. And I don't think I accept that anymore. Like I know that there's always going to be aspects to a job that will be unpleasant, and there will always be aspects to life that you just like nobody looks forward to doing taxes, you know what I mean? But there's also there's also so much more to it. Like you can derive so much joy from what you do, and that can be more important.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I completely resonate with that because I'm constantly just, I don't really want to put up with a job that I kind of like, and I have to do this at least 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, at least 45 weeks a year, give or take, right? Like, why put up with misery? It doesn't make sense to me. And that was very much my mindset going into undergrad, where I was like, well, you work hard and people will love you for your hard work. And now I'm like, no, people should love me because I'm lovable, not because I worked hard.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So for me, it's about passion. I think I had a huge shift when I left the nonprofit. I mean, because everybody's passionate in the nonprofit, and it's kind
Yeah.
of you just take it for granted. But when I left that and entered into the private industries, I nobody has it.
Mm,
Nobody really cares about their job. Like they're there to make money to go home so they can feed their family, which is laudable. I mean that these people work really, really hard in order to be able to provide. But I think being able to find something that you're passionate about and make those ends meet
yeah.
is huge. I was able to uh, do mock interviews for the school that Taylor teaches at for their high school kids. And my main feedback I gave them was like, speak to your passion. Let your employer know that the work that they do, you're passionate about and you're excited to do it. Because it doesn't matter how much schooling you have or what your work ethic is. If you're passionate about something, you're going to naturally work harder at figuring it out, at learning the skill, at learning the science, at whatever. So just yeah, follow your passion because it's so important.
Yeah, I love that too. I heard something the other day that I'm trying to internalize and remember and get a habit of like trying to find something fun in your day. Maybe your day is, I have days that are just back-to-back meetings and they can drive me a little crazy sometimes, but I'm like, surely one of those meetings I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna crack a joke. I'm gonna do, right? And so yeah, I think the kind of follow your passion, find fun, you don't need to settle for something shitty. Like, come on,
Right.
guys. It does not matter like how much school you've done. That's irrelevant. We're all adults and we've all worked really hard and we've all had hard things happen to us at this point for us to just sort of be like, well, I guess work has to suck. And, no, I don't accept that. I don't accept that narrative. It's bullshit. I love that you guys are both, you're living proofs that you worked really hard. And yeah, there were struggles and there were financial challenges, but you kept growing, you kept learning, and you didn't give up and you kept recircling back to what do I really love? Which for you guys, I think it's oversimplifying by saying botany, but oversimplifying. You really love botany from my view. And I think it's really gorgeous that you have both kept coming back to that. So the final question I want to ask today is kind of not the converse of that question, but the complement of that question, which is what is a core piece of identity that you're proud that you have kept on to, you've held on to all these years?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I can go with
Okay,
it.
yeah, you go.
I'm a hard worker.
Hell yeah, you are.
I've always been able to just work and get a lot of stuff accomplished in whatever time frame. And yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Can I
Yeah,
add on to that a little bit?
Yeah.
It's maybe not what you're proud of, but something that I see in you too is that not only are you a hard worker, but you're also able to maintain, like you don't lose yourself in your work. Like you're able to maintain your sense of self and your sense of separateness from the work better than most people can, which I think is very cool.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like you work
Yeah,
super, super hard, but then you also like you have like really healthy boundaries.
sure. I meant
With
more of
work.
like while I'm at work, I'm working.
Okay. Yes. Agreed.
But yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna kill myself for someone else's pleasure.
No.
That doesn't make that's how you burn out.
Yeah. I think my answer is uh kind of similar to Tim's answer to the first question, and that's that I've always been very passionate about about what I do. And I think that I've, as a teacher, been able to harness that even more so now. And that's one of the things that's one of the feedbacks that or pieces of feedback that I get from my students most often is that they enjoy being in my class because I'm so passionate and fun about what I teach. Like, well, I really care about what I teach and I really care that they know they know this information. I think biology's so important, and it doesn't matter what they end up doing with their lives. They should know how the world works and how their bodies work. It's just an important subject. And I think my passion and my care comes through in that. And I'm glad I haven't lost that.
You can, someone who's truly passionate about something, you can listen to them talk about that passion for hours, because it's always, it doesn't matter if you're actually interested in the subject, but that person makes it interesting because they care. And if it's obvious that they care, then it makes the world a difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And Taylor, I can guarantee that you are one of the teachers that your students are going to remember in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? Like I could come up with the names of maybe 3 teachers right now, and it's either because they were super weird or they had a lot of passion.
Yes.
And actually, the super weird ones tended to have a lot of passion if I think about it now. So I'm like, yeah, they were onto something.
Yeah.
They really were. They really were.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Fazy for art. Oh my gosh. Did you have Mr. Fazy in middle
Yes,
school?
I
Yeah.
did. Junior high art.
Yeah. I have this limiting belief. I'm trying to shift away from like, oh yeah, this is part of my identity. No, it's just a limiting belief that I'm not an artist. Like I'm just not that interested in drawing, so I accept the fact that okay, yeah, my drawing is not that good because I'm not that interested in it. I never work at it. The one thing I absolutely loved about Mr. Fazy's art class was doing fades. I would just sit there and like turns out I've got a little bit of OCD in me that once again, this is probably something that everyone else knew, but I didn't know. And my therapist has gently offered to me a couple times, and I've finally been like, I will pick up the mantle and accept this, sure. So that really brought out the little OCD of like, I will make this fade perfect. And I could just lock in for like the full class period of making the fade. And I remember that teacher, and he was great. He's so cool. So yeah, you're one of the cool teachers. People are gonna remember you. This has been absolutely beautiful. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a while. If I were to do a learn and move your feet this week, which is just, what did you learn and how can you put this into action? I'd say really just embody to yourself. It doesn't really matter what degree you got or if you even got a degree. What are you interested in? What are you excited about? How can you bring that to the world, right? It does not matter what your degree was in or if you even got a degree. What do you want to do in the science and engineering world? How do you think that you can light yourself up and the world around you up with your unique set of skills and talents, as Tim and Taylor so beautifully showed in this episode? I said at the very beginning of this episode that one of, my joys in doing this is getting to hear other people's stories, other people's perspectives. And I learned so much about both Tim and Taylor, right? We've been friends forever, but you don't necessarily always have the sort of deep dive conversation of like, how did you get to where you are when you're just hanging out with your friends, right? You're catching up, you're talking about your dogs, your plants, your cats, whatever. So this was so cool. I absolutely love Tim and Taylor. You'll love them too. Follow them on Instagram, even if you don't have a yard, even if you don't have, the need for either of their services. Just the beauty that they bring to your Instagram feed, if you're an Instagram user, is worth it alone. I'll put all their links in the show notes, of course, as usual. And the usual stuff from me. Reminder, this podcast is not associated with my teaching or research roles at Colorado State University, but it represents that, this undying belief in me that we can have jobs that we love, right? We don't have to just suffer and be mildly miserable or be told by someone that, you have like 3 options after your degree that you got, right? You make it what you want it. And I think we can make things that are beautiful and amazing and fun. And as a part of that, if you think that building up your team around you for people that can help you find those things that are beautiful and amazing and fun, I would love to be a part of that team. So please reach out. I do offer a free 30-minute work intro audit call. Links are in the show note, of course, or just DM me on Instagram or, any other method that you want to get a hold of me. Reach out. Let's get it scheduled. Let's talk about how can we help formulate your days, your minutes, your hours, your weeks, your months, your years, so that you wake up and you think, oh my gosh, I love what I do and I'm so excited to go to work. You go to sleep and you say, yeah, hell yeah, that was a good day, right? These things are not impossible. It's taken me quite a long time to get to this point in my life, but I'm here to tell you, hey, we can all do it. So please check that out if that's of interest to you. Follow me on Instagram, Stemdenity, Music by XSS, also on Instagram. And of course, because you've stuck around to the very end, Song of the Week. Today, Song of the Week is actually going to be Rolling in the Deep by Adele. Bet you haven't thought about that song in a while. Neither had I, but Taylor and I took a awesome, ridiculous, and we'll just say lots of life lessons trip to Yellowstone together when we were somewhere between about 18 and 20. So I did the driving to get up to Yellowstone because we borrowed my mom's car. Thanks, Mom. And in order to achieve the incredible task of driving about 4 hours continuously, I drank 2 Monsters, and then we took a short walk, and I had heart palpitations. So first life lesson was that was a bit much on the caffeine, a bit much. And then, I like to bake, and I made a bunch of peanut brittle and other fun treats, and we were just having the time of our lives for 2 days, living off of that. And after about 2 days, we both felt weak and shaky and confused and realized that, it turns out the human body requires protein. So that was another key life lesson. So protein, we stopped at a general store in Yellowstone at the Tower General Store and bought canned tuna and ate it like a small pack of wolves and felt much better. So yeah, don't drink too much caffeine. Eat protein literally every freaking day. Doesn't matter if it's plants, animal, whatever. Just get some protein in. Take care of yourself. These are the lessons learned. But why Rolling in the Deep by Adele? Well, it was, her CD had just come out, 21, around that time. Her album, whatever. It was on disc, so, I'm dating myself. And we listened to it on repeat, had so much fun. It's a great trip. I love Taylor. Love this song because of her. Song of the Week. All good things. We'll talk soon.